LoreWarrior Aerotech HMR-HD Hammerhead Overview. Enemies of the Star League and its precursor, the Terran hegemony, learned very early that planets defended by Hammerhead fighters were costly to attack. Ground-based squadrons of these hard-hitting fighters contested landings vigorously. It was not uncommon for admirals to refuse to allow their dropships to enter the atmosphere until the defending Hammerheads were neutralized out of fear of the massive autocannon that made them so deadly. The Word of Blake continues this tradition, although modifications to the craft have allowed them to use it as effectively from carriers as the ground. Pilots across the Innosphere are learning to fear the distinctive shape of the Hammerhead's nose once more. Capabilities. With startling speed for such a heavy airframe, the Hammerhead is often used as an attack craft. Impressive armor protection allows the fighter to penetrate a target's defenses before unleashing the devastating fire of its Imperator Zeta-20 cannon. The lack of supporting weapons is considered by many to be a flaw, but many commanders realize that this forces their pilots to retreat when they're out of ammunition, instead of staying in the fray to try for glory with insufficient weaponry. Deployment. Although it was a popular fighter during the original League's reign, only Comstar managed to retain sizable numbers of this hard-hitting craft during the Succession Wars, where it was deployed in almost every division of the Comguard. Since the revelation of Comstar's military might after the Fourth Succession War, Hammerheads have proliferated. Brian's Legion maintained a few examples taken from Comstar's deep caches. The Word of Blake is now deploying more and more of these vintage craft, both in their own divisions and through sales to aligned states and mercenaries. Variants. Two variants of the Hammerhead have survived the Succession Wars. The first, the Hammerhead E, is a simple modification intended to rectify the Zeta-20's lack of range. Two Magna Hellstar PPCs are fitted into the nose cavity where the autocannon normally resides. A heatsink is added, and all 11 are retrofitted to double strength. 2 additional tons of fuel are also added to increase the newly ammunition-independent Hammerhead's legs. This variant is popular in the Comguard aerospace forces, especially in the squadrons based on warships. The second variant has appeared across the Innosphere in Word of Blake squadrons. It appears that the mothballed Boeing plant near the ruins of Unity City has been refurbished and activated. Although it shares the double heatsinks of the E variant, the Hammerhead F replaces the Zeta-20 with an Imperator Code Red LB-10X autocannon with 2 tons of ammunition. A pair of diverse optics ER medium lasers are mounted beneath each wing. When these weapons are combined with the Hammerhead's speed and armor, the Hammerhead F is a potent fighter. There are also unconfirmed reports of a small unit of Hammerhead fighters carrying the massive Ultra 20 cannon. If true, they have most likely given up a ton of ammunition for the larger weapon. According to rumours, these fighters are ambushing and destroying dropships in the Marat Commonwealth, but have not yet identified themselves. Notable pilots. Adept X Grace Falls. Grace Falls served aboard the ISS Invisible Truth as a member of Task Force Serpent. During the engagement with Ghost Bear forces at Trafalgar, Adept Falls piloted her Hammerhead E into a general assault against the supporting Bear dropships. The minimal profile changes made to the E variant meant that the dropship's gunners were amazed to be attacked by PPC fire instead of heavy cannons. Gun camera ROMs later confirmed it was her fire that forced the attacking Union sea vessels to surrender after her PPCs disabled the dropship's drive. Since the beginning of the Jihad, Adept Falls has commanded an independent Level 2 of Hammerhead E's. Based from a Leopard CV carried by a lithium fusion-equipped Magellan, the Fallen Grace Squadron jumps from system to system, interdicting Blakist shipping and striking at targets of opportunity. The Word of Blake militia has reportedly placed a large bounty on the squadron's heads, with Adept Falls herself worth 8 million sea bills. Demi-Presenter James Olmsted. Demi-Presenter Olmsted leads the largest aerospace contingent, 3 Level 2s, in the Blakist 23rd Division. His unit is responsible for ground support missions, and the large block of Hammerhead Fs under his command are responsible for more mech and vehicle kills than any other class of fighter. The withering cluster munition attacks combined with deadly laser strafing runs have made the wide-nose fighter a feared sight on the battlefields of the former Chaos March. Yeah, the Hammerhead, it's not going to win any prizes for looks, that's for sure. It's a big... It definitely apes its namesake, that's for sure. But the weird kind of flat fuselage design and the strange... I don't know. It's not one that really speaks to me, but I can understand why people would like it. Stats are, it's a 75-ton mass, frame from Lockheed BR-65, power plant Pitman C-375. Armour is a Boeing Ctran ferroaluminium. Armament is a single Imperator Z-20 autocannon, manufactured by Boeing Interstellar, primary factory on Terra. Communication system is the Lassiter Fibrolink, and targeting and tracking is provided by Bandar 9. Presumably better than Bandar 8, but we'll never know. It moves at 7, safe thrust, 11, maximum thrust, misses with an armor factor of 206. So, yeah, it's pretty well armored and actually does move pretty quickly for its size. But a single AC-20 giving it 15 rounds of shots, which is, well, frankly, quite terrifying. A standard version of this thing flying over for 15 separate rounds of fire is, yeah, scary. 20 points is nothing to sniff at. And like a small squadron of these, I imagine, very quickly tear shit up. But, yeah, looks aside, it is a very deadly craft. And even the other variants of it that I mentioned also sound quite nasty, with a pair of PPCs for the other, so still the same damage, just heat management is an issue. And the other one is, again, potentially the same damage, unless they can switch. I assume they can switch ammo types in the airframe as well, so they could do slug or cluster shot. But, yeah, it still keeps to that sort of area of 10 or 20 damage per shot, so it's still a heavy hitting aircraft, so yeah, pretty nasty. But obviously the story of this fighter is Comstar versus Word of Blake, because that seems to be what most of the write-up is about. No mention sadly of any particular Merc units that use them, but I guess with the write-up it gives you that sort of leeway as a GM to be able to sort of award a player Merc company a Hammerhead or two, maybe from a Word of Blake rep, if you're willing to do a few jobs for them, maybe, or the ability to salvage them from Mercs that you might be able to get, or buy it off another Merc company who might be down on their luck and need some C-bills. One of the things I always miss about these books is that they never really give you just an average price. What's a new one worth? What's a used one worth? They give you a lot of information, but value is always a missing stat, and some you have to look in other source books to find the actual price of these things. But it would have been really nice if the TROs had those in there. Give you battle value and tonnage and all that stuff, and where exactly all the armor is placed. I mean, short of giving you a record sheet with an in-universe price tag, the TROs are pretty good, but yeah, they just miss those little details every now and then. But yeah, I've rambled enough. Hammerhead. It's 75 tons of nasty punch, and we'll see what comes next. I believe we stick with fighters. It's going to be the Rapier next, but it might be tanks next time. But until then, have a good one all. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.